Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Gavin from Design Tribe, and I'm so excited to bring you this tutorial today. So today we are going to be redesigning this tract. It's a tract that one of my clients has been using for a long time, so he wanted me to give a modern touch to this design. So that is what we are going to be doing. But before we get into this redesigning this tract, it is very important for us to know what is actually wrong with this current tract, so we avoid making the same errors on the new one which we are going to be designing. The first thing with this design is first the background and the text all together. The design lacks contrast. You don't really know what is actually going on the design. Secondly, the layout is really not appropriate, and actually the fonts that are being used, you can really struggle to read. So we are going to be seeing how we can solve those problems and make the design more appealing. Okay, I actually said the primary target for the design is for the youth, so we are going to make it look lively and more energetic than it actually looks right now. So let's get straight to it. First things first, we want to create the design. So the size of the design is A4, so we are just going to create an A4. We will use 29.7 and the height is going to be 21, or let's reverse this, 21 and the height 29.7, and we are going to click on OK. So before we go to design the one which we are going to be designing, let me actually show you what we are going to be designing. This is what we are going to be creating for this client. So the first thing we want to do is to bring this image into our design. So I will navigate to where we have our image saved. Okay, so I'll just drag this image and drop it into my design like this. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is to create a rectangle behind this and make sure that it is clipped to that rectangle. So I'll just come and hover my mouse in between these two layers, holding Alt, and I'm going to click like that, and I'm going to expand the rectangle a little more. Ctrl T, Ctrl T, and I'll expand it up like this. Okay, so I want the guitarist to be more prominent than it was, so I'll just reposition it like that. I'll go into camera raw filter, and within my camera raw I'm going to add contrast to something like that. Now go to sharpening, or sharpen the image to something like this, and maybe I want to add some clarity, and I'll dehaze it a little like that. Now just click on OK. So we are done with the first part, which is this first page. So I'm going to bring in the text that he wants me to put on the first page. So I'll just copy that and apply that to this design just like this. And for that I'm going to be using Baybars. I'll paste with Ctrl V, select the text again, and I'll flip the color to white like that. Now position it somewhere here, just like this. Okay, and for this text I will want to add a drop shadow. Just add a drop shadow like that, just to make the text a little more visible than it is, like that. And once that is done, next thing is just to begin to add the other details into the design. So I will want to move this up a little so we have a little more space. Okay, so now we are just going to bring in the other part of the text into the design. So I'll go back to my project file. Now copy this, Ctrl C, and I'm going to paste that here like this. Ctrl V, select everything. Now flip the color to black like that. Okay, and I'll remove it from the clip. It was actually clipped, that's why we could not see the text. So now I'm going to flip the font type here to Montserrat like that, and I'm going to drop my font size to about 15 and close up the line spacing like this, and I'm going to position it somewhere about here and maybe make this medium, and I'll leave it like that for now. As we proceed, I'm going to do the modification. The next thing I did here was to create these boxes for the text, for the various text that we have. So they're actually 5 in number, so I'm going to just create it. So for the color that I used, I just picked a color from the design. I didn't want to introduce a new color that may make the design a little more difficult, so I'll just add this like this, and I will use Bebas. Bebas is the font I'm going to use, and I'll write 01 like that. Select everything and go back to my fonts here. I'll use Bebas bold like that, and I'll increase the size font to something like this so it can actually fit within this box squarely. So once that is done, I'll flip the color to white like that, and I may want to reduce the size a little like this. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the first text, which is accept you have sinned and wronged God. Copy that, create a copy of this, Ctrl V to paste and close it up like this. For this one, let me say I make it regular, and I'll close up this line spacing between them just like that, and I position it here. Then for this, I'll make this bold, semi bold, and I'll bring it in like this. Okay, and then now I'm just going to select this, the text and the rectangle, Control Command J on my keyboard, Control T for transform, and I'll just position it here on the same line, and I'll change this to 02, like that, and I'll just create a copy of this text by holding Alt on my keyboard, and now I'll select the text, Ctrl C, and now I'm going to paste here. Make sure it's on 3 lines, that, and so I'll select this one, I'll move it behind a little, then I'll select this and I'll move this to this side a little like this. Okay, then at this point I'm going to rearrange this like that. Here I'll close the spacing of the text. I want everything to align with this box. I don't want it to go out of the box, so I'll do same here. Just close it like that, so we have all the text on 3 lines like that. Then I'm going to create, I think I may want to drop the font of this, let's say to 14, and I'll bring it close again like that. Yep, and I'll drop this to 14. Yeah, so it's a little more visible than it was. Then I'm going to just copy this, Ctrl J, Ctrl T, bring it here. Now change this to number 3, like that's 3, and I'll drag this and I'll just drop it here, and I'll go back to my folder and I'll bring in the next text, confess, Control V, like that. Position it somewhere here, and then I will create a copy of number 3, Ctrl J, Ctrl T, and I'll move it to this side. Align, and I'll bring it here. Then select the next item, which is this one, Ctrl C, Ctrl V to paste, position it like that. And now I'm going to select, let me rename this one to 4 points, number 4. And then I'm going to select the 2, Ctrl J, Ctrl T, position it here, select this and bring down using art. So as you see, as I'm moving, there are these pink lines that display. These are guides. It helps to align the text for you, the text and the objects that you are moving from one point to the other. So once that is done, I'll just take the texts and I'm going to paste it in here like that. Okay, then I'm going to create some space here to add some text, which is this. Select Ctrl C, change the color to black. Let me just copy this one so the font remains the same. Here, Ctrl V, expand like that. Step this one down. I'll make this please call bold. Say bold. Like that. and I'll take this next text, God bless you and welcome to the family. Control C, and I'll just create a copy like that. Now paste, and for this particular text I'm going to drop the font size to say 10. It just has to be a small text like that. I position it there, and then now I'm going to add one more shape or one more image into our design. So position it this line here like this, and I'll go to the folder where we have our images. Since this is talking about a club, in a club there is music, so I'm just going to convert this. I'll hold Alt in between these two layers, Alt or Option, and I'll click to clip that layer upon the layer beneath. So once that is done, let me zoom out a little. I feel like this is a little too small, so I'm going to select all these layers that came before, and I'll just bring them down a little. So I'll select this, and I'll go right up to say here, and I'll just move the text upward a little to create a little more room for this this other part of the design that I'm putting down here. Now step it up like this, and now I'm going to reposition this so that someone looking at it may have an idea of what it is. We are actually not displaying the whole turntable, but we want the parts that depict music to display, like this one. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a copy of this layer like that. Now move it right to the top where we have this image, and now I'm going to clip it on that image by holding Alt or Option on my keyboard like that. Once it is clipped, I'll press Ctrl T and I bring it down on that layer like this, something like that. And once that is done, I'm going to apply a blur effect on it, Gaussian blur, like that, completely like that. And then I'm going to change the blend mode of this layer to color. I just want the color of that layer to be applied on the same layer. Or let me move the shape, this layer back into place like that. And now everything is now in place. I may now decide to add another layer on that, and I pick a red color from the design, like maybe this one, and I'll use my brush, make the brush a small brush, and I'll just dab around here, change my blend mode to color like that, and maybe drop the opacity a little like that. You now see that the design looks far better than what we had at the beginning. This is what we had at the beginning, and this is what we have been able to create. So that is how you improve a design. First thing we wanted to achieve here was to make the background a little more contrasting, since this had no contrast. The text were just overlapping with the design. So we wanted to also choose a fonts that are modern and that will be very visible and legible to the eyes. And also we wanted to choose colors that appeal to the youths, as he said the design is for mostly youths. and also we wanted to also pick an image that depicts a cabaret more, because it's talking about a cabaret. So I had to get a better image that pops, and now making this image strong and also making this other one colorful and strong, it makes the design a little more attractive than this other one, which was actually looking very, very flat. So that is where we come to the end of this video today. If you did enjoy the video, please do well to support me by liking this video and sharing it with others so that they can also get to learn. Thank you so much for all who have subscribed. I am so grateful. See you in my next video.